All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Island Time podcast number 6.
Crazy. I can't believe we're already here. We're already on number 6. Feels unreal. We took a week off, I guess.
Yeah, Kurtis was feeling a little bit under the weather.
Yeah, feeling a little sick, but we're back in business.
Yeah,
So,
we are.
exciting.
And we're back better than ever. Look at these new microphones. Look at these things.
Sure, what is it? I forget. They're not SM7Bs. They are sure something. But anyways, they're really nice. And hopefully the sound quality is a lot better than the previous mics. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah, well, I'm stoked for this. We kind of been talking about the podcast lately and how we can get our content more ready for our audience and like more entertaining for everybody. Obviously, we're still going to kind of, do the things that we want to do on here, but we want to get the content going right to you guys right away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to kind of hop right in. I guess I can just start with this, or do you want to get the Rattlers going right away?
Might as well. Let's
do it. We're going to do we were a little lazy today.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do the, typical make a drink thing, but Kurtis had a good idea. We're going to do some grapefruit Rattlers. So
yeah. So I don't know much, but this is a German drink. So you take half grapefruit juice or some other type of grapefruit beverage. I got San Pelli's here. These should be pretty good. Actually, my brother brought these over, so shout out Jamie. And yeah, we'll just mix 1-to-1 ratio beer and San Pelli.
Yeah, and actually this is perfect. I forgot that it was a German beer or a German drink because this is a Pilsner.
Oh, perfect.
So
Sweet.
There we go.
Yeah, this actually came from a variety pack, Vancouver Island Brewing. So there's a bunch of different ones, a bunch of dark beer in there too. So we got lucky that was left.
Yeah, true. That would have been bad
because you can't really do that. But anyways, Okay, so we'll crack both of these. Some ASMR for you guys.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Actually, before we do it, that sound there, there's a Justin Bieber song called "Yummy." You know that one?
Yeah.
There's a part in the song, and that's literally how they recorded that. They just opened the bottle or the soda can.
Nice.
You can hear it. So listen up to that and see if you can recognize what I'm talking about. All right. So beer first, I'm assuming?
I mean, from what I know, it's 50-50. So I'm just going to go at the same time, kind of pour them both at the same time.
Fizz up?
Maybe. You're actually right. Let's do that. I'm just going to do a little bit. 1, 2, 3 seconds maybe. I don't know. 4 seconds, 5. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of beer to that as well. I think I'm just going to play it by ear and see how this thing tastes.
All right, I'll fill mine up the same height as yours.
All right.
How does that look? That looks reasonable.
It's not bad. We got.
All right, cheers, dog.
Cheers.
Let's see how it tastes.
It's not bad at all.
It's actually good. Yeah.
I don't mind that.
Bussin'.
I'm okay with that.
Nice.
Yeah. So kind of what's been going on the last week and a half. As we said, Kurtis was a little sick, so we didn't do the last episode. But some exciting news has been here. We're right now in nationals for women's volleyball at VIU. And that's like a big event. It's a massive event for the community of Nanaimo. It's like, I look forward to it when there's a nationals here. Last year we had the basketball nationals for wins, and crazy event. This year it's the women's volleyball, and as you may know, the women's volleyball team for VIU is pretty goated. So we've done 3 games. We had a tough break at the beginning. We really thought that it was going to be, this was going to be our championship. We were going to see it at home live, and it was unfortunate. Didn't go our way, and we lost our first game. But we came back. We won our last 2. So tomorrow at 3:00, we're playing for the bronze medal game. Yeah. And that's hence why we're wearing these blue jerseys. So
yep. You bet. No, that's good.
Kurtis and I have been running the fan section.
Pretty much steady. Especially game 1. Actually, let's kind of go through it. So game 1 was on Wednesday, was it? Wednesday? Yeah. So Wednesday, 6 p.m., everyone's hype. Like you have this vision in your mind of how the week's going to play out. And like Sean said, it obviously didn't play out that way. But we show up. We have like a student section. And honestly, like I was hoping for a little bit more like oomph from our students at VIU. I think I don't know. I think VIU is awesome in the fact that it has such a close-knit community. So it was almost surprising to not see what we saw last year with women's basketball.
Yeah.
That same like crowd that's like really into it and just like doing whatever you can from the sidelines to secure the W.
Basketball is like a different sport for that. It's basketball was very easy to get in players' heads when they're at the free throw line because it usually gets like quiet for our team, and then it gets like, you know, everyone's trying to psych out the other team. And we also had like a lot of the people who graduated. I know like a lot of the volleyball players and stuff, they were kind of running the fan section behind the free throw line. I don't know if you remember like Isaac Beavis and like they were like rowing the boat and stuff and just making like you know, screwing with their heads a lot. So basketball is a completely different sport for that. It's very good for, you know, you can yell air ball and brick and you can get in people's heads. You can really like screw with them more, it feels like. Then with volleyball, it's like the only time we can really mess with people is when they're on our side and they're serving. And that's kind of what we've been taking advantage of. Yeah. So last year was really hype. We had like for the women's basketball, we had full stands. Like it was packed. You had to come early, otherwise you weren't getting in the door basically. And that's what I was expecting for all the games this year with women's volleyball. And it was unfortunate that it wasn't, you know, the same. Yeah. It was still packed the first day. It was pretty good actually. But for whatever reason, the fans weren't like into it as much as they should have been.
100%.
Like,
felt like me and Sean were just kind of like losing our voices on our own there for a bit. There were some people on the baseline that were pretty good too, but it was like the gym is kind of like, imagine it spread out like this. It was like the back left corner, and that was the only place that you'd really get anything. You know, much oomph. Yeah,
it was, and I feel like the students were maybe spread out, and some people were like timid to chant and cheer, and it's like, man, like you only got one shot at this. This is your home team, like. Now is your time to use it to your advantage. You have 100%. Home court advantage for a reason. Like you're there to, as fans, to, you know, obviously celebrate with your team, but also to get in the players' heads a little bit. And it was unfortunate that, you know, we were the kind of the holding that up.
Yeah, exactly.
But someone's got to do it, right? So, we did this. You know, some people might think this is a little weird, but Kurtis and I went on a deep hunt. So. We really wanted to mess with these volleyball players. And for the first game, we did a little bit of research. This was kind of something that I did back in high school, and it was like, you know, it was kind of funny. But we found the team roster basically, and we went through a bunch of their social medias trying to find any dirt that we could on them. Yeah. And one person we were able to find, I won't say her name because I don't know if she'll ever listen to this, but if she does.
I hope she does.
Yeah, I hope she does.
Yeah.
We were able to find her dog. Yeah. So we blew up a picture of her dog on this massive sandwich board, and her dog's name was Josie. Yeah. And so we were making chants like, Josie's hungry, and we had like we blew up the sign and it had Josie's hungry on it. Yeah. And she saw it. She recognized it a few times and was laughing and kind of looking over at us, but
she was chirping. So in volleyball, if you haven't been to a game or you haven't watched it before, they have different sets, and when the set finishes, the teams cross over on other sides of the net. So me and Sean were kind of sitting like in the back left corner of their set. So when she walked past, she would walk right by us. Yeah. And she was staring us down. It was loud in there, so I couldn't quite hear like what she was saying. Yeah. But she was definitely not feeling it so much.
Yeah. She wasn't happy.
She wasn't happy.
Which, you know what, that was the goal. So, but what I will say, I'll give that team. It was Humbert. I'll give that team the credit. They were mentally strong throughout that game, and we were pretty ruthless with them when they were serving on our side, and they didn't let it get to them. So, you know, props to them, but you know, also screw them because they won. So
what were some of the funniest things that were said?
Oh man, I mean, like everything's kind of funny when it's quiet and you say something just ridiculous. Like
Braden's was really good. Yeah.
Braden at one point just out of nowhere, like number 13 was serving, and he's like, "Hey, number 13, you look like my sister," and it's dead quiet in the gym.
Yeah,
dead quiet,
and dropped.
Just out of nowhere. Yeah. Just, you look like my sister. Yeah. Braden doesn't have a sister, first of all. Yeah, and like, everyone for a second is like, "Oh my god, like what's he? You look like," and you're kind of like, you're thinking like, "Oh my god, what's he about to say?" Like, like this is about to be like he's about to get canceled. Yeah. And then he comes out saying, "You look like my sister." And then everyone for a second is like, "Huh?" Like is that a chirp? And then it's just a statement.
It's
just
so
like,
good because you know that she like had to think about it.
Yeah.
She's like, what does that even mean? Like those are the best chirps. Like you're not making fun of anyone or being too far, but you're saying chirps that are like almost confusing to the point where you're just like, I don't even understand what you're saying, but it's distracting me from playing this game well. So you're doing a good job. So that was definitely one of the best ones. Shoelaces untied. That's a good
your
one too.
Headbands untied.
Yeah. Your what are they? The knee pads. Oh yeah.
Well, inside joke. We won't go into it. But Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Different side of the gym though.
Yeah. Not us.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. So definitely loved chirping the other team, and they did a good job, and VIU did a good job, but it was just an unfortunate game. They started off not strong with their serves.
Yeah.
I think the first 4 points were lost off serves to the other team.
Yeah.
And then there was like a lot of missed blocks and just a lot of missed opportunities. And I've seen VIU play. Like, this team is by far the best in the country. Like, I will say that right now. Like they've proved it the last 4 years.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I don't know if it was the nerves that got to them or what it was, but they just couldn't bring it together. So
yeah, no, it was unfortunate. Yeah. Honestly, though, today we were watching the game, and they seemed a lot better. I know Humber's probably a tougher team than they played today, but there's a lot of plays in the first game that they're kind of mistakes that they wouldn't normally make, and today, Jane, probably their best player, definitely made a lot best player, made a lot of key blocks.
Yeah.
And defense is like underrated, I feel. Like you can talk about like the hits all day long, but if you block, it gets so hard to get under the ball and Also, shout out to VIU's libero too. She was crazy today.
Yeah, she's really good.
If you look on Instagram, you might see it, but there's this photo of her and she's like diving out, and
it's called a pancake.
Yeah, and literally her hand is touching the ground and the ball is like right on top. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's a pretty sick photo.
Yeah.
So that was the first game, and then we went to the second game and we won that one. I think 3 sets to 1. Yeah. It was unfortunate they even got one. They snuck away with one, which VIU was like, they just again weren't playing to their best, but they could have easily dominated that team.
Yeah.
And then today they dominated the team 3-0, which was a super exciting thing. And I feel like every time I walk into the gym now, I kind of have this mentality of like, oh man, like we're not winning, like we can't possibly win this at home, and it's a shitty feeling. But I can only imagine what the players feel like.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, now you want to finish strong and finish on a win. You want your season, you want your careers to end on a win. So it's like, you can't even think about that anymore. It's a new focus. It's a new mission. It's
100%. I agree. Like totally. So for me though, I always found, at least when I played sports, it wasn't competitive to this extent at the very least. But when I played sports, sometimes it felt better to get third than second because you end the tournament on a win versus a loss. Because
definitely,
obviously losing in the first, like it's a single elimination. So losing your first game, it's really tough because you're instantly out. You can't win gold. But you have a couple days to like refocus. And then by the time that third place game comes around, you're like dialed in and ready to go. So honestly, man, I'm going to bring it tomorrow just like normal.
Totally.
Who cares? Like, at the end of the day, I want them to win gold, but it's not going to happen. So let's take third. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Heck yeah.
I would much rather have this, we win, we finish on a win, come third, than what happened last year.
Yeah.
Where if we went to the finals and we ended up losing, just how the tension in that fucking gym, man.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Overtime loss.
Just a terrible feeling. Yeah. Everyone felt it.
Yeah.
It was a heavy feeling in the air. I can't even, I don't even want to watch that game again. Like, even watching that first game of the women's team, like this year, it was hard to rewatch, but
speaking of that, you can see me and Shawnee on the TV. It's really funny because we got the big dog sign.
Yeah.
And one of our buddies, he was operating the camera. And I guess at some point he was trying to find funny things in the crowd. And Shawnee's waving around the dog. And I just know that girl's whole family sitting around the couch watching the volleyball game. The dog is chilling with them. And they're on the TV, or he's on the TV.
Yeah.
So funny, man.
Josie's probably eating while
literally literally, they're probably like, holy moly, like, what is happening right now? Like, how is our dog on the TV? Yeah, crazy. But
it'd be funny if it was like they forgot to feed Josie and then they see our sign, Josie's hungry. Oh like, shit, we gotta feed our dog.
Yeah. No, it's anyways. So that was game 1. Game 2, like you said, we won that, and then today we played the semifinal for the bronze match. Yeah. And the craziest part about this whole thing is that the bracket, the way it ended up, is Humber actually lost their second game as well. So VIU was 1-1 and Humber is 1-1. So now they both played the bronze medal semifinal today. Yeah. And VIU won. And Humber won, which means
they're playing again, baby.
They're playing again, which means
Josie's back.
Yeah, exactly. Josie is even more hungry.
Yeah,
and we got to bring it tomorrow. So yeah, I'm super stoked. Yeah, it's like a redemption match. Kind of feels like a grudge match.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
For sure. We like now it's like we got to be ruthless. Like we got to bring it tomorrow. And now that VIU's warmed up and they know, they're meshing. They've been playing 3 games back to back. They're together now. Yeah. Today we saw what VIU actually is, like how good they actually are. Like they're untouchable.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but yeah, man.
Hopefully they bring it. Yeah, let's do it up.
Let's do this stuff.
So Sean, introduce it. You had an idea for an interesting segment.
Yeah, we wanted to, like, as I said earlier, we wanted to bring the content quickly to you guys and, keep you kind of always on edge and, hooked to what we're doing. So I think a good way of doing that is having segments. So as we already have, convos and cocktails, that's a good segment. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a segment with like trying different hot sauces. And,
yeah, totally. Like a hot ones kind of bootleg type of thing. Yeah.
Speaking of which, man, I don't know if you read my text the other day, but I was at the new restaurant, Harang.
Oh, yeah.
That Korean restaurant in town. I tried a Thai chili. Like there was just a little Thai chili, red pepper. And I bit like probably, I don't know, maybe a quarter of it. Bro, I have never tasted anything so hot in my entire life. I was in pain at the table. There was like, I don't know, 8, 10 of us. And the second I bit it, I was like, okay, like it's not terrible. And then I like swallowed it and immediately I started coughing.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, like this is going to be bad. And then it started like my eyes started watering and I started like really like every time I was breathing out, I could just feel the heat in my entire mouth.
Yeah.
And I started like salivating basically. Like I was hanging over a bowl
mess. Yeah.
And it was just like pouring out of my mouth because it was so hot.
Yeah.
Do not recommend doing that.
Yeah. The closest I've ever came to that is I ate a whole habanero pepper.
Yeah.
You were here, I think. It was a couple summers back. And me and my buddy Fernando, we were like, let's try this out. Let's do like a hot and spicy test. So I think they were cooked. I think we threw them on the barbecue on like one of those skewers. And I just popped the whole thing in my mouth. And I think it took 20, 30 minutes before it finally calmed down. And like I finally felt like good again. Like I felt like horrible. And then there's also the thing too, like what goes in must come out. So like now you're looking 12 hours later, it's coming out the other end. So shit sucks.
It wasn't bad. That was fine.
Okay.
So I was looking at the Scoville units for a habanero pepper. It says 150,000 to 325,000 Scoville units.
Damn.
Which is
so that's what I ate.
Yeah.
So what about the one you had?
So the Thai chili pepper says it's 50,000 to 100,000 Scoville units.
Oh, so the habanero is worse.
So it's probably worse.
Damn. Well, my spice tolerance has significantly gone up in the last year.
Yeah.
Like significantly. Like Frank's or like any of those, they aren't even spicy anymore. It's just like flavor sauce.
Yeah.
Like
put that shit on everything.
It literally. Yeah. Frank's, Valentina. I used to think sriracha was quite spicy. Even that now is like I can put so much sriracha sauce on my eggs or whatever, and it's like easy peasy.
Yeah.
So I might try habaneros again this summer. We'll see.
Don't do it.
No, I
it's
think
just
I
not
will.
worth. I was like,
actually, you know what? You know what, Shawnee? We're gonna do it on the fucking pod here. Yeah.
That's a great segment.
Yeah.
That's a great segment.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Habanero peppers on the pod.
Cool.
Do we like do something more than that, or do we like try and keep a straight face, or we just soak it and we just like embrace it?
I think a bit of both. I think
like go as long as you can.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like I won't last very long, but Let's try it out.
I'm down. I'm with that. Cool. Anyways, so this segment that we were talking about, I think a cool one. We already played around with ChatGPT a little bit, but if we did like a question of the day or a question of the week, and we just get ChatGPT to ask us a question each, and we have to answer it, or we just answer it to our best abilities.
Sounds good.
So what should we phrase this as?
And also, just preface, we haven't even tested this. This is like
this
live. We haven't done anything. So John just literally had this idea 2 minutes before we started pressing record, and we're about to try it out. So let's see how it goes.
Ask us a question.
Give us a question of the day that makes us think.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Give us a question of the day that makes us think.
Boom.
All right. Kurtis, this one's for you.
Okay.
What is one thing you would do differently if you knew nobody would judge you?
Nobody.
Differently.
Okay, so I immediately what comes to mind is I'd kind of like separate this into like two categories. I would separate it into like Kurtis as an adult, Kurtis as a kid, right? Like Kurtis as a kid, what I would do is I would try more things. Like I would like pursue more activities. Just I was very like I did a decent amount of stuff growing up, but I was very like focused on the certain things, and I was usually anxious to try new things. So that could be like something like, I don't know, snowboarding or like rock climbing or, you know, like different activities, or I don't know. I was just, or even different jobs or things like that. I was more anxious and more like, I just wanted to stick with what I wanted to do. I probably would have loved to play ice hockey longer and things like that. So obviously it's not really like a juicy answer, but legitimately that would be probably what I would do. And then Kurtis as an adult, to be honest, so I worked in the real estate analytics industry for 6.5 years, and it was one of those things. So I started when I was still pretty young. I was probably 16 or 17 kind of thing. And it was one of those things where you'd work on it and that'd be your life entirely. Like you'd spend like, I'm not even joking, like 15 hours a day on this thing, and you'd be isolated in your room. Like I'd still live with my parents at the time, and I didn't move out until I think it was like 2018 maybe. Yeah, 2018, I moved up to Nanaimo, and I was still working on this thing like 15 hours a day, and I had no social life or no experiences outside of that. I was very like locked in, and I did gain a lot of like skills that are like, I guess, good for career and things like that. But I feel like I missed a lot of opportunities that might have been available to me. And it kind of worked out. I've got to experience those now, but I'm kind of in a position, I'm 26, but like I feel younger than I actually am because I spent so much time in that area. So for example, Sean's significantly younger than me, but I don't feel that age gap. You know what I'm saying?
It's not that significant. It's only like 4 years.
Yeah, I know, but that's significant enough, man.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying, though?
At this age, I get it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm answering it or articulating it well, but essentially both answers come down to like putting myself out there and doing more things like that I necessarily aren't in my comfort zone, like things like that. I just spent so much time just working on a specific skill, and I didn't branch out until I really came to VIU. So it's one of those things where it would have been cool to maybe do that sooner.
Yeah. I think kind of back to the kid or being younger in high school. Yeah. I think same thing with sports, or even like I wouldn't say I necessarily would have gone into like dance or hip hop or anything like that, but like even dance lessons to be able to dance when you're older. Oh yeah. Like we talked about this last time on the podcast, like in gym, like, you know, you'd be awkward and whatever, but like if you would actually genuinely didn't care what people thought and you were actually interested in something like that, that's a, you know, fun skill to have when you're older. It's like now I get up there, it's like good luck, you know. Good luck trying to get me to two-step or waltz or do the salsa.
But at the end of the day, hey man, if you try it out, you'll get better. Yeah, you can still learn as an adult. But
as an adult, different. I don't care now.
Like no, but it's a good answer because as a kid, you'd find like, at least I did, a lot of myself and my friends, we found dance class to be like embarrassing or like, you know, like you were anxious to do it or like you didn't want to do it just because you had some like mental block there. Like it wasn't a thing where you're like, yes, we get to play dodgeball today or we get to play rugby, you know, like the traditional like masculine sports, right? Yeah. It'd be nice to like not have the barrier where you think you have to play certain things and just pursue dance or whatever too. Yeah. Just be really good.
I think, and this is like, I don't know, I haven't given it much thought, but I would probably also say as an adult, call people on their shit more.
Yeah.
Without feeling judged, like be able to call someone out, or not like maybe in a specific situation where it's public or whatever, but not feel like I have to just, you know, let situations go by and just like, you know, and feel like I'm not saying what I need to say. Yeah. I feel like if I was more voiced my opinion more and was more strong with my opinions in, you know, certain situations, it could do me well. So yeah, I would say that would be one, you know, when people are talking to me or you know, doing certain things with me, just be able to call them out on certain things when I feel like it's not right. That's a skill that I need to work on too, for sure.
Well, also just like if you have an idea, I struggled with this a lot, especially when I was doing my business. I struggled with standing up for what I believed was the right decision to do. I'm a lot better at it now. I'm still learning, but for example, like if you're spending time on a certain function when you're developing this feature, you want to make sure that you're standing up for what you believe is the right way to do it, rather than just being like, maybe your other partners over here and they say, hey, this is what we should do. And you're just like, yeah, that sounds good. I agree. Yeah. Even though you're not vocalizing how you actually think and what you actually believe, because at the end of the day, if you do it respectfully and you do it well, there might be a better overall result, because it might allow you to all come together to form an even better idea or an even better, you know, like situation for you. So what I would struggle with is I would like have my own opinion of what I felt was right, and I would kind of do it anyways without saying anything, rather than vocalizing it and doing it up front. And when you do it, even if it's the right thing, if you do it like behind the scenes, it doesn't come across as a very good thing to do, right? Even if you have the talent to do it, right? So I totally agree, totally understand. And I think it's very important that people stand up for what they believe, as long as they do it respectfully. Like you can do it in the wrong way for sure. Yeah. You know, if your best friend is like effing up and you basically bully him into not doing it, that's wrong, because they're not learning how to be better, right? You're just basically pulling them along. The goal is to stand up for what's right, but be by their side rather than pulling.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right.
My turn?
Ask us another one.
All right. Sounds good. Repeat this prompt. Oh, actually, another thing about this. So I don't know if any of our viewers have used ChatGPT much, but it's a language model, which means that you can actually train it based on feedback. So an example is if you ask it a question, it gives you a response, but that response isn't what you want. Now you can go back and train the model to be better. So side tangent totally, but a lot of schools, they're going to try and like say, hey, don't use ChatGPT for any of your writing assignments, blah, blah, blah. It's banned, right? If you use this as plagiarism. In my opinion, that's completely the wrong approach. How they should go about it is, instead of that, is they should consider it a tool like spell check. Yeah. Right? So if a student is using ChatGPT, but they're still not learning, yeah, that's wrong. That's wrong. But if you're using this as a tool to excel your learning, we shouldn't be resistant to it. Whenever we've resisted new tech, it's never worked. Never. So what institutions need to do that are analyzing student learning outcomes is they need to update their curriculum in support of platforms like this instead of in against.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's never going to... as if kids are just going to not use this. It's
correct.
Like, we're going to outsmart you regardless.
Yeah, 100%. And some institution employees might argue like, hey, like, if you copy paste this, I can detect if it's written by a robot, blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you one thing. Half of these people's publications, if you copy paste their content, because it's written at such a high level and put it in those AI detection models, it's going to come back and say this was written by AI too. So you can literally just Uno reverse card right in their face. Like, hey, your own content's plagiarized too. Yeah. Like, it doesn't work that way, right? So instead of saying, hey, don't use these tools, what we have to do is adopt these tools and update our curriculums to utilize these as a support structure rather than as a resistance or like, we'll get rid of you if you do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when you graduate and go in the real world, are you going to use this stuff? Of course.
Yeah.
If you're an employee somewhere and you're spending time writing all this stuff yourself instead of utilizing beautiful tools like this, like, you're wasting time. Like, you're wasting essentially that company's dollars. Yeah.
But people won't get that.
No,
it's going to be a long time before people actually understand that. And we're still in the classrooms, everyone sit down for 2 hours, and we're going to go over our fractions and our lessons and everything. And we're still in and I'm not saying that that's not important, but there's like some sort of like I don't know if it's like the school system or the education board, whatever it is, but they're stuck in this way. And like, you're right. They're resistant to technologies like this.
It's really interesting.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, 100%.
It's inevitable. It's like, it's coming your way. I recommend figuring out a way how to use this stuff now before you're too late and it bites you in the ass and you're well behind and you get canceled.
Yeah, true. Okay, we got another prompt here. So I put in repeat this prompt with new ideas. So Sean, you're up. If you could relive any single day of your life, so it's saying any single day, which day would you choose and why?
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
That's a really hard one. There's been so many good days.
Yeah, so there's kind of two angles on this. You could go like, I want to relive an amazing day just to relive it, or you could go back and relive a terrible day and change it up.
Oh, I can change what happens, the outcome of that day.
Yeah, relive. I assume so. That's how I like.
If that's the case, that's like basically going back in time.
Yeah,
knowing what's gonna happen.
That's more fun. So let's go with that.
That's more fun. But I mean, I can do both.
Okay.
Relive a single day. I don't have a specific day in mind, but it would probably be, around the holidays, a day with my family.
Yeah.
Like, back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Probably Christmas Day when I was like
baby.
13 or 12. And, everyone's in a good mood. Everyone's, opening presents. Everyone's together. That's probably one of the days I would relive.
Yeah. So that's just the one you go for if you want to just relive it. Experience that feeling.
Exactly. That feeling again. Get my iPod Touch. Get my hockey stick.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nostalgia, baby.
Nostalgic.
Yeah.
Watch your Christmas movies the night before.
Yeah.
But one that I would relive for like now, it would, oh man. I want to say I want to go back to high school and like go back to a basketball game, like our last basketball game of the year. I almost want to relive that, bro.
Yo, you're literally the guy from that Zac Efron
dude,
movie.
Yeah, 17 again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a good movie.
Great
Honestly,
movie.
I loved that movie as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. No, those are great answers. Okay, so for me, I kind of divide it into two categories as well. So one thing that happened, here's a story for you too. So when I was in grade 1, I got my adult teeth. They grew in quite fast. I'm not kidding. I literally had buck teeth. It was bad because I lost my baby teeth way sooner than most kids, right? So, and I was quite active as a kid. I loved sports and loved competitive activities and stuff. And I think I was in grade 1, and the elementary school I went to, shout out Bench Elementary, the whole front of the school is metal siding. It's like that wavy green metal siding, and it's all pavement everywhere. And the rule that every teacher would always say is don't run on the sidewalk. I mean, it's common in every school. Don't run on the sidewalk. Go out in the field. Go in the playground. Go do your shit out there. But no, me and my friends decided it'd be fun while we're waiting, lined up to go in to play tag, right? Classic kids thing to do. So we're running around, and I was like quite athletic at that age. And there was this like kid a little bit bigger than me. We were playing tag in the front courtyard, and he like stuck out his foot and tripped me. And I went head first straight into the metal grate, slammed my upper adult teeth that just came in like a couple weeks prior, broke those off, went straight through my lip, and there was these huge holes in the side of the metal grate. It was bad.
Jesus.
And there was blood everywhere. Like, this is a graphic scene.
This is traumatizing.
Yeah. And it was traumatizing not only for me. I was kind of like in shock, when there's like something happens and like you just can't even like
fathom what just happened.
Yeah, exactly. That was me, so I didn't really feel pain yet. I was just like, and also I think I was a little concussed too, to be honest.
Probably.
Yeah, like it was bad. Anyways, my mom worked at the school. She taught grade 3 at the school. And my grade 1 teacher, she came out because there's obviously this crazy scene that just happens. And she's like, oh, my God. And then goes in, grabs my mom. And my mom comes out and she's like, oh, my, what has happened? Like, my child just lost his permanent teeth. Like, she's obviously not thrilled about the situation,
What did the kid do? Like,
I don't know. Nothing ever happened. I mean,
nothing happened to that kid?
I wasn't like a rat. Like, I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Shit just happened and moved on. But anyways, I went into and I actually still to this day don't know if it was on purpose or an accident.
Probably on purpose.
It probably was, because you're young, you're playing tag, you want to win. Like, it makes sense. Like, but whatever. I didn't know, so I didn't pursue. I didn't blame him or anything. Yeah. Anyways, so my mom took me over to the classroom in the back, like away from kids, because it was not a pretty scene. And I just remember my head was over like a garbage can and just like,
Jesus.
Yeah, and you're like paper towel, like
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, called the dentist, went there. They checked me out. They're like, yeah, we're going to have to send you to like a specialist because like you're a kid and you just lost your adult teeth. Like this is not something we deal with here. So I went to this clinic in Victoria. I think it was like a week or two later. And I remember this is a kind of a funny story too. So the clinic's there obviously to replace your teeth, but when you're a kid, they don't give you permanent teeth because you still have to go through puberty and your bones are still growing and all this stuff. It makes no sense to spend medical dollars on permanent teeth that cost thousands of dollars that'll just be replaced in like 5 years.
Yeah.
So they give you like temporary crowns is what they call it. And I was lucky. So when they analyzed it, they knew that the gum, like the roots were still intact. So they didn't really have to worry about like taking that out and putting a whole veneer in or something. So anyways, go to this clinic, and I remember sitting there waiting as a little kid. And I've said this on the previous episode of the pod. I ask a lot of questions, like especially as a kid. Why is this there? Why is that there? Blah, blah, blah. I'm just like the annoying patient, Anyways, so they come out and they're like, how are you doing, Kurtis? I'm like, I'm good. And I was thinking like, what do you mean? Like, I'm doing terrible. I just lost my permanent teeth. Like,
yeah.
But you're a kid. You're like, whatever. You don't want to make people.
Are they completely gone? Or are they just like
broken? These are all fake.
Wait, so they were fully like, they fell out?
They broke off. Like, imagine there's like this and the whole thing. Ugh. Yeah. And it's just, just like a tiny little bit at the top.
Ooh.
Yeah. If you watch hockey, it's common. Yeah. Anyways. So I go in there and they're like, yeah. So what we'll need you to do is just have this drink. It'll help you stay relaxed. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. They're like, oh, it's just ginger ale. Like, no worries. Like, just take this. It's good for you. I'm like, what's in it? They're like, they're like trying to like, they're like, why is this kid asking so many questions? They're like, how do we tell him this is like sleeping meds without like...
How do we drug this child?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like the type of kid that would just be like, tell me literally what it is before I do it. You know, like it's not even about like I won't do it because I know they're medical professionals. It's just like I don't want to. I'm not like a stupid kid that's just like do drink. Yeah. I want to know what it's about, right? Otherwise, I'm anxious about it. So, anyways, my mom's like, no, it'll help you stay relaxed while they do the procedure. You should just drink it. So I go take the thing, I drink it. Just tastes like ginger ale, whatever. Go in, they take me into the thing, and I'm telling you right now, that shit did not work on me. I was awake the whole time.
Wait, was it supposed to put you to sleep?
It was supposed to like make me relax. Like it's not supposed to knock me out. Like it's a procedure they can do with you awake. But a kid, normally they want them to be like sleeping, right? Because kids are kids. High energy, you never know, right? Or they could be scared or whatever. I was super anxious, but I wasn't like crying or I wasn't sleeping or bored or any of those. My emotion was more just anxious, anxiety, right? But anyways, so I would ask every single tool what it was for, why were they doing that? And obviously if you're in that anxiety mode, sleeping pills don't really work, man. If you're like super anxious, like you need some heavy stuff to knock you out. So it didn't work. I was awake the whole time. And then they replaced it. They put like fake caps on the front of my teeth, and they were like buck teeth. Like they were not sexy teeth. They were bad. Yeah. But whatever. I had teeth, so it is what it is. And fast forward a few years, they fell out multiple times throughout my teenage years. Like I ate like some bread one time, and they just broke off when I was eating, and it's just like
that's so shitty, man.
It's so annoying. But yeah, eventually I got them replaced like permanently when I think it was 21 or something, when they finally, they're like, okay, you're done growing, you're good to go.
I chipped my tooth once when I was a kid too.
Yeah.
I was scootering.
Yeah.
And I had big teeth too. I had buck teeth.
Yeah.
You could see pictures of me, and they're just way bigger in my front teeth. And,
yeah.
I was like, I remember I was scootering in my neighborhood, and my mom was out on the deck, and she was like looking down at like the neighborhood, and she was like, Sean, like, I don't know if she was saying like come in for dinner or like come in or whatever. And I had like set up like a wooden kind of like piece of wood, like a 2x4,
like a ramp.
Yeah, like no, not even a ramp. I was grinding down this as a rail. I was using it as a rail to grind down.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah,
like that's funny.
I was doing it before she had gotten there, and then she gets there, and I'm like, Mom, watch this.
Oh no.
And then I like did it. I like messed up, and then I was like, okay, like turn around for a second. Like I don't want you to see this. Like just turn around for a sec.
Yeah.
And then I like go off the ramp, and I go to like grind down this rail, and all of a sudden I like hit the front of my scooter on the like board, and I go right over my handlebars and just boom, chip both my fucking teeth.
Oh no.
On the pavement.
Yeah.
And
face first.
Jeez. And then I start like yelling. Obviously, I'm like crying, and
it's painful.
And you're like scared. You like you touch your teeth with your tongue, and it's like
sharp,
jagged, and like gross. And I'm like yelling. My mom turns around. She sees me on the ground. I'm like crying. She's like, "What the fuck?" Comes down to the down there, gets me, and I'm like, my teeth are just. When I do that, I can feel the sensation of what it was like.
Really?
When I remember that feeling. And then I went to the dentist, and literally all they did was since my teeth were so big, they filed down the other side. Like it was chipped in the middle.
Yeah.
In the front too. And then like the outside was still like pretty okay.
Yeah.
They filed down the outsides and put a little bit of filling on the front bit.
Yeah, that was it.
And that was it.
Nice.
And they just like smoothed it down with the sander. And I remember like smelling my teeth.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Smelling that.
I've had so many oral surgeries because of that original injury. Oh. So that's why it goes back to my original, like, if I could relive, I'd probably not play tag. To be honest, that's probably what I would go with. At the end of the day, though, like, it makes you who you are today. So you never know what the downstream effects of changing that one day, you never know how you would have ended up. Maybe that situation may be stronger in certain ways. So,
yeah.
I don't know, but it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, those surgeries are no joke. Like getting your wisdom teeth out, it's always terrible. But recently, like in the last 2 years, I think, 2 years, I got my tonsils out, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah. And
that was a terrible situation. Like, it was just such a shitty thing to be in. And
yeah, that's tough.
What's that? Viewer discretion is advised for this story. Just like, blood. We're talking about blood. If you don't like blood, don't listen.
Tune out. I kind of ruined it last one though.
Whatever. They're fine. That was PG.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I got my tonsils out 2 years ago, and the reason why I got them out was because my entire life I had one tonsil that was like very swollen compared to the other one, and it was like probably like 4 times the size of the other one. It took up more than half my throat. And so I've always had like kind of breathing issues with it, and when I would get like allergies or like my or like my asthma or whatever when I was a kid, it would like my throat would close up, and it was not fun because I obviously can't breathe, and if there's always an irritated tonsil in your throat, it's like you can feel it. Your immune system's down.
Yeah.
I started getting strep like 4 to 6 times a year.
That's insane.
Like, I was always on penicillin. They were like worried that I was gonna start getting like super bugs. And so I went to a specialist, and she was like I went to a specialist like a couple of years ago, and she was like, okay, like you have two options here. She's like, you can keep your tonsils and sacrifice getting sick, however many times a year, or you can take them out. And she's like, normally they don't take your tonsils out at this age. Like they try not to as much as they can. You hardly ever hear about tonsillectomies above the age of like 10. Like the younger, the better.
Yeah. How old were you here?
Like 21.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, like I don't want to keep getting strep. I hate this. Like she's like, I don't even know. Like you could have chronic tonsillitis. You could have, I don't know what it is. So I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll get my thing out. So 6 months later, I go into surgery. They put me under. This is the second time I'd been under anesthetics. Like the first time was wisdom teeth. This time is the second. The tonsils.
Yeah, you're knocked out.
Knocked out.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like in the hospital beforehand, kind of just seeing all the patients go by, and then all of a sudden I get into the surgery room, and then they put me under, and I come back. When I came back to, I was in this like kind of oval like circle room where I guess like people who have had surgeries like wait to wake up. I just like wake up, and I like my curtain is open, and I'm like looking around the room, and I'm like, okay, like I'm in a hospital right now.
Yeah.
Like there's a bunch of people around me. My throat, I can't talk. My throat hurts.
Do
like,
you
it's
have
burning?
Yeah. Do you have a tube in there?
No.
Or no.
So what they did is they cauterized my throat. So instead, like, because they can't do stitches.
Yeah.
So they cauterized the entire back of your throat.
When they cut it off.
Yeah. And they said it was like one of the most bloody tonsillectomies they've ever dealt with because of how swollen my tonsils were. And so I was like drained after that surgery. Like I woke up and I felt like shit.
Yeah, I believe that.
Eventually I like start coming to, and then a nurse comes and checks on me, and then I start getting my stuff together. I just gone through surgery, so I have to like be slow with everything, and so then I eventually get my phone together. My mom waits outside the hospital. I come out, and I'm like, my mom starts talking to me, and my sister was there too. And then I'm like, I can't talk.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I don't even want to speak.
Yeah. You barely want to open your mouth.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it hurt to breathe?
Not to breathe. I was just breathing through my nose, but like it would hurt to swallow. I couldn't swallow.
Like saliva and stuff.
Like even that was just like painful.
Yeah.
You had to keep your throat moist the whole time. Like you couldn't let it dry up. Otherwise the scab would peel off and you'd get a bleed, and then you'd have to go back into surgery.
Oh no.
So what had happened was I went home. Usually it's about like a week to 2 week healing period.
Yeah. And
the entire time I was just having like smoothies and it was even hard to drink smoothies. Yeah. Like I would like a lot of the time it would come up my nose.
You'd like force it down.
Yeah, I'd have like mashed potatoes, and then about a week into it, I felt like good. I was like, okay, like I gotta eat some food now. Like I've eaten like nothing. I've been on, T3s this entire time. Like I need to eat. Like I just feel like I can eat. I feel like I can swallow a bit better. So I get this like, I had like a crispy chicken sandwich, and I ate that, and then the next day,
so good.
It was great, man. It was
Yeah.
great eating food. I felt so fucking good.
Yeah.
Ate that, went to bed, and the next day, I woke up, and throughout the nights before that, I was waking up in the middle of the night, setting an alarm to drink water so I could keep my throat hydrated, or like my moist or whatever. And then I woke up the next day, and I was chilling in bed, and all of a sudden I started like, I felt like I could taste like blood. I could see blood, like it was like coming out. I was like, oh fuck, what's going on? Like I don't think I set my alarm that night, and so I think I let my throat go dry.
Yeah.
I like get into the sink. I get over the sink, and I start like, I'm standing over it, and I start seeing like blood like pouring out of my mouth, and I'm like, oh fuck. And Tierna was my roommate at that time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, T, like we might have to go to the hospital. And then all of a sudden I start like choking on this thing, and I like cough it up, and it was this like ball of, I don't even know, bloody gross shit that just like, I like almost choked on it. I coughed it up, and it just like went straight into the sink, and then I was just like pissing blood just all out. I was like, oh scab. No. And I was like this is not good. And so I got my garbage can. I'm like putting my mouth over it. T takes me to emerge, and then I get to emergency. I like get into the waiting room, and it's like normally you'd have to wait in the waiting room, but I'm like pouring blood out of my mouth, and immediately the nurse is like, I like sat down for a second. She's like, no, like you're coming in right away. So I go in. I was like, I just had a tonsillectomy, like my doctor's doctor, whoever it was.
Yeah.
I get into the emergency room, and then I'm like sitting there, and it's like I'm just pouring into a bag now. They gave me a bag, which is, I'd prefer the garbage can because you can't see anything. But
yeah.
And then eventually like it stops bleeding a little bit, and then my doctor comes in. Luckily she was out of surgery at that point. Yeah. So she could come and check on me. Yeah. And so she was in the hospital, and so she came and saw me, and she was like, okay, like it looks like it stopped bleeding for the moment. We're going to monitor you for the next, like, I don't know, 4 to 8 hours or something like that. And so she put me into this emergency waiting room. And then I went in there, and I was like sitting there for, shit, you know, like the doctor just left. She puts me in this waiting room. I sit there for like not even like 2 minutes. Yeah. And all of a sudden I start puking blood up.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I was not okay. I felt like terrible. And the reason being was because I had so much blood drain down my throat and my stomach.
Oh,
it just upset it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and obviously like you start seeing blood that you're puking up, and you're like, this cannot be good.
Yeah.
Like,
you're like panicking now too.
Yes. And then and there's other people in this waiting room, and they're all looking at you like, oh my God, I'm glad I don't have what he has.
Yeah.
And so one girl was like, do you need me to call a nurse? I was like, I mean, yeah, like call a nurse just in case. And so she looks in my throat. She's like, okay, like, I don't know if the scab's opened up. It doesn't look like it. I sat there for like 4 hours, maybe 6 hours. And then eventually, Dr. Wong came back in, and she looked at my throat, and, she said, okay, like you're good right now. If it you're lucky, because if it opens up again, you'd have to go back into surgery, and we'd have to cauterize your throat again. I would have to go through it all again.
Yeah. Terrible.
So I was very lucky. After 2 weeks, I was fine. And then, oh man, I've been so much better. I haven't gotten strep throat since.
Damn. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Thank God, man.
Yeah, dude, it was bad. Like,
I've had bad sore throats, and a lot of the time I thought it was strep throat, because everyone says how bad strep throat is, like how painful. If you've had it multiple times, like not even multiple times, but multiple times per year. Yeah. That is brutal, man. I would do anything to get rid of that.
It takes you out. It takes your whole, like, you just are drained, like mentally, like physically. I remember I was in first year too, and it was like, I remember I had to miss a bunch of classes for a while because I was just in my res room. Yeah. You know, no family around. Yeah. The only people around are my roommate or my friends that I had made on residence, and I'm in my single room, and I sat in that room for like a few days. I got up from my bed a few times. Barely ate. I just laid there. I watched the entire season, like all 1 to 10 of Friends.
Wow.
Season 1 to 10 of Friends in that 3-day period or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I like slowly got back to it, and and then when you're like up and you're good for a while, you start to notice these like stones on your throat and on your tonsils. There's these white stones that you get when you have strep, I guess. And you start to notice those. You're like, oh fuck,
here we go again.
Like red and dots all over your throat, and you're like, this is not good.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Very happy I got my tonsils out.
Yep. So do you wish you did that sooner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I got my tonsils out when I was a kid. I wish I did it when it first happened, because there's I remember looking back on my report or whatever when I was in like 2016, there was a thing that said he has like maybe perhaps chronic tonsillitis or something like that. And so, 5 years later, that's when I got it out. So I wish I would have done it just right away.
Sooner. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't know what it was to this day. It could have been chronic tonsillitis. It could be something else. Who knows?
Either way, it sounds like the surgery sure helped.
It helped a lot.
Hell yeah. That's
now
crazy.
I don't have to worry about that. Now I can swallow and not feel my tonsils literally like touch each other.
Yo, thank God for modern medicine, man. Can you imagine like 100, 200 years ago, bro, you're done. Like you live the rest of your life like that until you get taken out. Yeah. You don't have penicillin or anything.
No, you're done, man. Yeah. Like you're done.
Crazy.
We live in the best time of ever.
Yeah.
Like for a lot of things, like
medicine,
we're so
blessed,
but like so lucky that we have what we got. Like why were we born right now? Yeah. That's what I don't understand. Like why were you and I and everyone listening to this, why were we born in the situations we were born in? And like it's a crazy concept to think about. It's like
it's absolutely wild. And I don't know, someone rolled the dice and you came out. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
I guess so.
So we chose 2 days. I chose the day that I didn't like that I would change.
Yeah.
But if there's one that I could just relive,
yeah.
Like I remember when my brother, he bought the original Wii when that came out, man. Oh my God. That console was so much fun.
Yeah, dude. That was
a great console. So backstory, my mom, when she was in university, kind of like how we are now, she made like close friends, kind of like how me and you are close friends, and they just stayed connected for the rest of their lives. And she went to UVic, and growing up, every single New Year's, her university friends and their kids would come to my parents' house, and we'd do New Year's celebrations.
Yeah.
So we'd start at like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 p.m. and go all night until like 2 or 3. And my brother bought this Wii, and we were gaming that thing like no tomorrow, all New Year's. It was so fun, man. Like that
sounds fun.
As a kid, you're with all kids the same age. You're jamming Rock Band all night, stereos on full blast, or you're playing like Wii Sports or Mario Party. Oh man, those are the best moments. Yeah. Like as a kid. Like
as a kid for sure.
Yeah. Like good times. Like everyone's like, I don't know. I even remember we'd watch MTV for a bit. Like this is back in the day when it was like music videos. That's where you would see them and stuff.
Yeah.
Much music. All that stuff.
Did they ever come to your high school?
What's that?
Much Music?
No.
They would come to our high school and they would do like a dance party for like the
That's
high
crazy.
School.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I remember it being like a big deal back in the day. And they'd like DJ the event. And,
presented by Much Music.
You used to think it was so sick.
Yeah, 100%. That was before Spotify or any of that. Yeah. True. 100%. Makes sense. So yeah, that's probably what I would choose. I think the Wii is probably one of the best video game consoles ever made. Nintendo's always good, like, to be honest, but it facilitated those moments.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, it was a type of console where all your friends could play all at the same time, right? You're all chilling on the couch. Everyone has a remote or a nunchuck or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're all having a good time doing whatever. So that's what comes to mind.
Wii was one of those gaming like systems that was changed the game. Like completely revolutionary.
Yeah.
Motion control.
Yeah.
You know.
And honestly, it's still good to this day. Like if you want a console for cheap, go to the Salvation Army pawn shop or something, pick up a Wii for like $20-$30, couple games. Yo, you're gonna have a good time with your homies for sure.
Dude, Rylan bought a GameCube recently.
That's so smart.
And we were running Mario Strikers, and dude, that game is my favorite game of all time. Yeah. Like, and to this day, it's still like playing it, even though the graphics aren't like amazing. It's like so ahead of its time, man. Like, I am addicted to it to this day. Yeah, it's so addicting. Yeah, you play for hours, and you don't get bored of it. Yeah, it's like you're right back to being a kid.
Yeah, that's true. There's another game that came out back in the day. So the Harry Potter games have been going viral recently because a new one came out.
Yeah, looks pretty good.
It looks really good. I kind of want to try it if it's on PS4. But anyways, there's a game back in the day that was very similar to Mario Strikers called Quidditch World Cup. And it was the exact same concept. You'd pass the thing around and score in the thing. I think it was for PlayStation 2. It was arguably probably the best Harry Potter game besides the new one that just came out. Yeah. But the same exact concept as Mario Strikers. I don't know which one came out first, but yeah. Bangers for sure. I don't have any Nintendo consoles now. I wish I kind of did. Like the Switch is pretty cool and stuff, but
Switch is pretty cool. I'm excited for their new console, whatever they come up with, because it's going to be pretty good.
For me, it's the nostalgia factor though. Yeah. Like Mario and all those games just I don't know. Just, you relive these moments we're talking about, right? Yeah. Cool. Do you want to do one more question?
Yeah, let's do it, and then let's sign off because it's getting late. I work tomorrow.
Sweet. Okay, last question of the night. This one's deep.
All right.
So get deep. So why do you think we struggle with the concept of uncertainty, and how can we let that go?
How can we let it go? That's a hard question.
Yeah.
Why do we struggle with uncertainty? I feel like anything new it just makes you uncomfortable. You know, like that, there's that whole saying of get out of your comfort zone, put yourself in situations that make you uncomfortable. It's just going to make you grow. And a lot of people have trouble with that. Like a lot of people don't put themselves in those situations because they want to avoid that anxiety of not knowing what's new, not knowing, you know, the fear of the unknown. Mm-hmm. And so when dealing with uncertainty, it's kind of a similar thing. It's like you don't know what's coming, so you get this anxious feeling. Yeah. Or you don't, you know, you want to avoid that situation at all costs. Yeah. When really that's what's going to help you grow and help you, you know,
become a better
become
person.
Become better at whatever you're doing. Yeah. You know, so probably that for uncertainty. But what was the second part of that question?
Like how can you make it easier to let that go? You're saying trying new things and stuff. So how basically, I guess the question is how can you make yourself do those things? Yeah.
You got to be open to it. If you're not open to it, you're not willing to do it, then it's not going to come to you. Yeah. You know, like no one's going to put you in front of a crowd of people to do public speaking, or no one's going to put you know, in these certain roles. And no one's going to put you in dance class or whatever to learn a new thing. And no one's going to, you know, get you to do a stand-up comedy, whatever it is, whatever fear you have. No one's going to make you do that. Yeah. It's got to be something that you want to do because you genuinely want to become a better version of yourself, and you want to get better at the you know, the goals that you have. So it's like, it's not just going to come to you. You've got to do it. Yeah. And so if you don't really want it though, it's not going to happen. You're not going to do it. You've got to really want it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yo, I think you're totally right. So when I first read that, the first thing came to mind is like anxiety, like feeling anxious, right? Like, so, I mean, the typical thing I remember is like, you might find some girl attractive or you want to ask her out or whatever, but you don't do it because you're like scared she's going to say no. So, I mean, all you have to do is, what do you have to lose, right? Worst case scenario, you're in the same situation you were already in. Yeah. So, I mean, might as well try it out. I mean, worst case scenario, you're just back to where you were, whatever. Yeah. So it's like that fear of rejection, and it's almost like rejection that's not really on the table. It's more built up in your head. It's made up. Yeah. It's not, it doesn't actually exist, right? Because if they said no, that means there's no opportunity anyways. So there's no use wasting time, right? So that's like the classic like example of that. But that goes for anything. Like you mentioned a couple great examples, like public speaking or like stage fright, or like say you're a musician. some of them don't release their music ever because they're scared people won't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, how are you supposed to get better unless you
Yeah.
put it out there? And maybe it sucks at the start, right? Like, for example, our podcast, hopefully it's been getting better over time. That's like kind of the goal, right? Like, I don't know. I was nervous when I first did it, but like you slowly build up the confidence to, just go for it, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to mess up. Like, that's part of life. But at the end of the day, you just got to keep pushing forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's that whole concept is directly related to the feeling of anxiety. It's like the flight or fright emotion.
Yeah.
Like you want to get out of there and just avoid it rather than facing it head on and becoming a better person and better at what you want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of like reasons why, or reasons in society now that people have been pushed to feeling uncertain about certain things. One thing that comes to mind right away is a lot of people are pushed to do university right after high school.
True. Yeah.
And their parents don't like the fact that their kid is uncertain with their career path, when it's actually not a negative thing at all. It's actually perfectly okay to go and explore and find out what you're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this uncertainty emotion is immediately correlated with like a negative feeling when it shouldn't be. It should be like, could be a good thing. It could be something that you use to your advantage, right?
Something that I always like, something that helps me a lot with getting through whatever it is, if it's public speaking, obviously like I've done a lot of public speaking in my life, and it's not, no one likes, maybe some people do. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I don't think everyone just enjoys being in front of everybody and speaking, and maybe there are some people, but I think everyone has a little bit of anxiety from it, and including myself. But something that really like helps me is, and I know it sounds stupid, but I always kind of think about myself after those situations, how good you feel after those situations.
Yes.
Like you're gonna be so anxious built up to this, and what I always tell myself is, okay, what you're about to do, is it gonna kill you? Number one, is it gonna kill you? When you go up stage and you talk in front of all these people, is it gonna kill you? No, you're
Most
not gonna
likely
get killed
not, unless you fall off the stage or something.
Yeah, like horrible, like the roof collapses on you.
You're good.
But you're not gonna die on stage.
Yep.
So right away, what are you anxious about?
Yep.
Okay, now you're anxious about how people see you. You're anxious about the judgments that people have about you. Well, that's built up in your own head, because realistically, when you get up on stage, everyone in that crowd wants you to do well.
100%.
People hate that awkward tension of when someone's doing bad on stage, or when it's that awkward, like, oh my God, like they're fucking up.
Yeah.
Get it together here.
No.
People don't like that tension. People want you to do well. People want it to be no awkwardness. Just get up there and do well. And so that's kind of what I always tell myself is like, when you get up there, is this going to kill you? No, it's not going to kill you. So now you're in your own head. You need to think about yourself. You're anxious right now. You've been in these situations before. You've been forced to do things that you don't necessarily want to do. Like, you have to present a project in front of the class or whatever. But afterwards, when you crushed it, or maybe you didn't crush it, but you went up there and you did your best.
Yeah.
You feel so relieved afterwards.
Yeah.
So if you can put yourself in those shoes afterwards of like, I'm going to feel so good when I'm done this.
Yeah.
If you can put that feeling in your head beforehand and be like, yo, I'm not only going to feel good because I completed it, I'm going to feel good because I absolutely crushed it. I went up there and I did my absolute best. That's what's going to feel good.
100%.
And you're going to start getting better and better, but you got to ask yourself, like, right away, back to square one. Is this going to hurt me in any way? No, this is only going to do something good for you.
Yeah.
So
no, I
that's
totally
kind of a tool I use.
Yeah. I mean, one thing too, I'll just add, maybe we can leave it on this, is just every emotion you feel, the reason why it's there is because the opposite is going to feel so much better because of you experienced the like lower end of the spectrum. So, for example, if you're sad when you're happy, think how much better you feel. It's better to have all feelings of emotion, say uncertainty, and then think how much better you will feel when you're certain. Mm-hmm. When you're certain you want to do something, you'll feel so much better because you've experienced uncertainty before.
Yeah.
So you have to view it as not a bad thing, as almost a benefit, because you're feeling those emotions when it, goes to the other end of the spectrum. Now you're going to feel so much better.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you can't be happy without being sad. You can't be, you know, the same thing applies, right? I don't know. I just think a lot of these things get bundled up as all bad, but at the end of the day, they're not bad. They're just different.
What's bad is it just feels bad. It feels like you don't like it. You feel that anxiety. You feel that, you know, the pressure coming in, or the walls are caving in on you. That's the part that feels bad.
Yeah.
But that isn't necessarily bad.
This is how it works, man. It's like when you go to the gym the first time, you're weak and your muscles hurt so bad after. But then you've done it like 30, 50 times you've gone in a row, or like over amount of weeks, you're going to be stronger and you're going to be better and it's going to feel good.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. You can't have that good feeling without the opposite end. So you have to use the uncertainty and those different emotions to your benefit. Understand yourself and just kind of pursue them. Yeah. Anyways, cool. That was a great segment. I enjoyed that. It was cool.
We'll do it again.
Thanks, the overlords, I guess. Like, perfect.
Thanks, computer geniuses.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. Also, just last thing, just because we're on the ChatGPT topic, next week GPT-4 is coming out allegedly. So,
do you know what that is? I don't know what that is.
No, I think it's just an expanded version of the model. It's just, if you think it's good already, it's going to be way better. There were some rumors around like how much of it's expanded its model and what it's been trained on. I don't know if those are true or not, so take it with a grain of salt. But OpenAI has been killing it since day one, so I think it's going to be even more powerful than what we currently have. So I'm super stoked. Looking forward to exploring that maybe even next week.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
I asked what is ChatGPT for to ChatGPT, and it is not up to date enough.
Yeah, so. It won't. Its data set ends at 2021, so it won't be able to know. But yeah, next week, hopefully, if they're on schedule, we'll have some updates for y'all on GPT-4.
Perfect.
Cool.
That was great.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cheers, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
Till next week.
Yeah, you bet.
See you, folks.
Also, cheer us on tomorrow. VIU Mariners last game. Let's go for bronze.
Yeah, I know you're not going to see this till after the game, but like, you better be there.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. All right. Peace out, all. See you next week.